there's another holiday that is just around the corner, and it is approaching very soon,
Mhm.
Valentine's Day. And one of the first things that come to mind when you talk about February 14th is flowers. Certainly one of the busiest days of the year for florists. So we found one in particular that is also making things bloom in their own community.
That's right, Tom. Southside Blooms is a farm-to-vase florist on the south side of Chicago, providing unique and fashion-forward arrangements while maintaining an uncompromising dedication to both the environment and our surrounding communities. So joining us now is Quilen Blackwell, president and founder of Southside Blooms. Keelan, thanks so much for joining us on Main Street Living.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you, Tom and Danielle.
Yeah,
Happy
of
New
course.
Year. First of all, Southside Blooms is a signature program of Chicago Eco House. What is Chicago Eco House and why did you start it?
Yeah, so Chicago Eco House is a 501c3 nonprofit based here in Englewood, outside Chicago. We have the mission of using sustainability to alleviate inner city poverty, and we do that by taking over vacant lots and turning them into solar powered flower farms. So, if you're unfamiliar with Chicago, we have thousands of vacant lots, predominantly on the south and west sides of the city, most of which are not being used at all, or just have trash or being used for other nefarious purposes. So this is a community beautification project, as well as we're putting young men and women who are at risk into the floral industry. So it's creating real jobs, real careers for people in our community.
That's amazing. And you mentioned you're in Inglewood and these vacant lots, you're creating flower farms. You're in your fifth year, but I have to imagine early on, were you confident that you could maintain them and that they would remain safe and productive for the community?
Early on, no. This definitely was. um, you
Love the
know,
honesty.
Yeah.
it's real out here, right? Like everyone knows about the violence and the
Mhm.
shootings and that kind of thing. So early on, like it definitely was a pretty big risk. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we could keep the lots secured, and while at the same time being able to keep it to be part of a neighborhood fabric that people felt proud of and enjoyed. But like as the years progressed, we definitely got a lot of the kinks worked out. And now it's kind of at a place where like we are able to keep our farms secured and productive while also meeting those larger social and environmental goals.
Mm.
As you've overcome all those obstacles and grown and expanded the number of farms, you need more hands on. Tell us about your workforce and how you're actually creating some opportunities for at risk youth and the young adults that is, just the foundation of your mission.
Yeah, totally. When people think about the floral industry, what most people don't know is that the vast majority of flowers that you see in the United States actually come from overseas. About 80% of the flowers are coming from, countries like Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, those kind of places. So we looked at this as an potential economic solution to our community, because we're like, well, wait a minute, why can't we grow those flowers right here on the south side of Chicago, and in the inner city in general? So, because Chicago's not the only place that has a lot of vacant lots and a lot of blight and a lot of poverty. So we really wanted to create something that our youth felt like they could do. A lot of our youth are very creative. They're very artistic people. So them learning how to do flowers actually kind of came second nature to many of them. They're very talented florists. They also, work on the farm. So for those who like to be outside and get their hands dirty, they can do that as well. We're a high-end florist. So, we're doing more than just, selling flowers to the neighbors. Like we're at some of the most exclusive venues in Chicago. We're at the Field Museum, the Marriott, the Ritz-Carlton. We're doing big business, and it's all because of, the talent and dedication of our youth.
Yeah, and it's great that they can find something, like you said, that's creative for them and they can learn about floral design or even about farming. But I have to imagine there's other areas that the participants can also learn about and get hands-on experience. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like a big part of what we do that's universal throughout the program is professional development. A lot of the kids that we're working with, like, they're coming from rougher backgrounds, a lot of trauma, that kind of thing. And a lot of them, they don't really have the skills, both soft and hard skills, to be, productive and professional members of organizations and companies. So, we do a lot of, wraparound services in terms of, teaching teamwork, teaching, how to have a positive attitude at work every day, showing up on time, the importance of punctuality. How do you, respectfully, disagree with your manager, or how do you approach conflict in a very productive way with your coworkers? So, there's a lot of those professional skills that they're learning each and every day. Because the ideal is that, one day when they leave Southside Blooms, they'll be able to, work at any job and be successful on their own.
One of the things I really find interesting is that outside of making people in the community bloom, you're actually doing this kind of regenerative farming practices. So your farm to vase model is based on sustainability. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, so when we first started the organization, we wanted to kind of take more of a holistic approach to, preserving life, because it's cool, like obviously, like the core of it is really trying to preserve the human life of the youth who are, like being caught up in the nonsense in the streets and that kind of thing. But what's the point of doing that? But at the same time, you're derogating the earth that we all depend on, to live. So, like yes, like the sustainability piece is baked into everything that we do. Our farming approach is, pretty simple from a philosophical standpoint. Like we pretty much want to farm the same way, the way Mother Nature intended it. And that's one of the things we really teach our youth is, when you're working with Mother Nature, and you're taking care of her and you're stewarding the natural resources that she's provided for us, that she'll yield her produce, which, you then can turn around and sell and make money, which then helps to meet your material needs. So, on our farms, we have solar panels that's capturing sunlight to generate electricity. We use rainwater. We collect them off the rooftops of the adjacent buildings of our farms and use that for irrigation. We don't use any pesticides or herbicides or, any sort of chemical fertilizers. We're just using compost, and we have chickens as part of our operation that plays a critical role in our composting operation to provide more of a natural soil amendment. So yeah, everything that we do, we try to, try to like not only minimize our carbon footprint, but add to the health of the local ecosystem that we're a part of.
You're really growing things with love over there. And speaking of love, we did talk about Valentine's Day is coming up. Before we hopped on, though, I talked about how I was chilly in Los Angeles, which is embarrassing because I know it's much colder in Chicago. It's winter in Chicago. Besides using wholesalers in the colder months, how do you maintain the local farm to vase experience?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we actually got 30,000 flowers that we're growing as we speak. We have our whole winter tulip program. So, we have an indoor growing operation where we force tulips to, force bulbs to grow. So we're basically farming tulips, right here. We have those tulips available from January all the way through Mother's Day, the different variety of colors and that kind of thing. So, for Valentine's Day, we're going to have our tulip bouquets, beautiful pinks and whites and reds, all farm grown flowers right here in the, at Southside Blooms, even though it's, frigid outside and we're about to get, about have a foot of snow on the ground. We're going to have colorful and, sustainably grown tulips for people to purchase.
Now, as Chicago Eco House and Southside Blooms become as famous as another Inglewood resident, Derek Rose, MVP, Chicago Bulls. I know you're approaching that. Come on.
I'm a basketball fan, so yes.
So as you approach Derek Rose status, how can other people help get involved with your mission at Chicago Eco House?
Yeah, so we're always looking for volunteers. You can go to our website, southsideblooms.com, and right there you can find ways to volunteer. You can purchase products. We have more than flowers, by the way. We have honey candles, we have seed paper cards, everything that we make in house. So there's all sorts of ways you can engage us. Of course, we're nonprofit, so we definitely take donations. But all that information you can find on our website at southsideblooms.com.
Oh, Sounds like so many good little gifties coming up, like we said, for Valentine's Day. Quilen Blackwell, really inspiring what you're doing. Obviously, planting a lot of seeds in your community, figuratively and literally. Thank you so much for being with us on Main Street Living today and sharing your story.
All right, thanks. Enjoy your guys' time and appreciate you having me.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Stay busy. Stay warm, too.
All right, take care.
So great to see someone like that making a difference in their community, helping to make sure the talent around their community blooms. And a great reminder, there's some great people here on Main Street.
Absolutely, they really are. And it's an exciting when an organization like that is actually expanding. And someday we may just see them as, like you said, a model throughout the country. They are on their way. They are blooming.
Main Streets across the country. Also, more Main Street Living coming up. Stay with us.